What's up, Justin here. So how do you handle it when you have jargon in your field? This happens a lot with service providers that work in different kinds of industries. A friend of mine is a music producer, so she asked me this question recently. In the music field, there's a lot of jargon when it comes to music production and a lot of technical terms, and the customers don't always understand that jargon. They don't always understand what those terms mean. So how do you communicate effectively, and how do you negotiate and understand each other in that situation? The first thing you have to remember is that it's your responsibility as the service provider to communicate as much as possible with your client or with your customer. It might require you to tell a story, it might require you to demonstrate something for them. Whatever it takes, if you want to make that sale, if you want to keep that customer, that client happy, then you have to communicate with them. So that's the first thing, is to understand that it is in fact your responsibility to make sure the communication is clear and understandable. The second tip when it comes to jargon is to use metaphors and to use analogies. So for example, Einstein, when describing his theory about relativity and space-time, he used the metaphor of a sheet that could bend and could contour depending on the gravitational pull of planets or stars. Now, in reality, space and time does not literally bend in the way that we think of it, but it has a very similar effect according to his predictions and his theory. So that metaphor enabled millions of people around the world to grasp it and to understand the insight and the powerful new idea that he was bringing to the table in that field. Use images and visuals as much as possible. So wherever there's a jargon misunderstanding or miscommunication, instead of focusing on that word or that phrase, shift it into something visual. Maybe you have a visual presentation, maybe you can show them a video, maybe you can show them a photograph, something so that they can understand it better, exactly what you're talking about, and then of course visually they'll be able to internalize that much better and have a much more productive conversation as a result. A lot of times, especially with someone who is a foreign language speaker, which I talk about in another video, getting too caught up in the weeds of words and phrases and the specific right terminology is often a waste of time, and it's not really that important when it comes to actually clear communication, understanding each other. So visuals can be a much more effective shortcut to be able to just accomplish that. And then the last tip is to take the time to explain basic fundamental terms. So sometimes, depending on your field or depending on your work, there are very specific terms that you can't really explain away. You can't really substitute a visual or a photograph or an image to help the other person understand. You just have to define it. So then define that. Figure out what are the top 3, 4, or 5 main terms that are jargon terms that the average layman wouldn't understand, and just simply define those and specify and articulate exactly what those mean, so that way you can have a much more productive conversation with the client. Okay, so I hope that helps, and if you like this video, press like and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.